Starting is exciting, but finishing is transformative. The power lies not in how many ideas you have, but how many you bring to completion. That quote, inspired by Yager's How to Finish Everything You Start, perfectly set the tone for today's episode. Good morning and welcome to Ways Breakfast. # What Are You Saying? Nigeria's #1 youthful breakfast show where we'll talk real, think deep, and keep it 100% relatable. It's the last Friday of the month, and that means one thing: Book Review Friday. Yes, you get it. All right, today we're diving into powerful and practical read that hit close to home for anyone who's struggling with procrastination. How to Finish Everything You Start. By Yager. All right, I am God's Beauty Israel, and as always, I am joined with the ever vibrant Lady Precious. Hello.
I think you're giving me a title that is here because I didn't put lady in my name. I mean, Lady Vibe, Lady Precious, but I'll take it. I'll take it.
How are you though?
I'm doing well.
I mean, as that babe that love, everything shining, everything sparkling.
I can see the
that,
pink. I'm in that era already. When I go to the market next week, I'm going to, what they call chatter.
Okay.
All the colors, the bright colors in this world, orange, indigo, purple, you name it. They're going to be flashing on you people's screen. But I'm feeling good anyways.
I'm excited to be here today. So I really don't know what the plan is, honestly speaking.
I like this switch. I think the viewers should get ready for something exciting, seeing that God's Beauty is at that side of the table.
The pilot today, right?
The pilot.
The pilot.
Okay.
Oh my God. Tell me how your morning is coming. I mean, given that, I'm very sure, you always talk about, your issues with the boss people.
Yeah.
So I'm very sure, I hope it's different today, or is it another? Who are we fighting? Tell me.
Today I was lucky to get a very good boss.
Oh, okay.
And then I was late a bit. I mean, you have to excuse me. But it was a good boss, good seat and everything. But before that, so how have I even been feeling generally? I think yesterday night I was very overwhelmed. So I was speaking to Kiki on the phone, and I told her that, Kiki, I'm at this point where I feel like I want to disappear.
Hey.
Now, the reason I said that is not because I'm feeling like I feel like giving up, basically, but I felt a bit overwhelmed. Why? I had a number of things on my table that I had not completed. Some things I have to get to today after the show. Some even preparing for the show yesterday because I had to read the book, How to Finish What You Start. Everything was just on my head, and I'm like, oh my God. Then Kiki was like, oh, that's what adulthood is like. I'm like, please, I've not even reached the peak of it yet. I'm still a young girl that needs to be babied, but I had to take a good sleep last night, at least 4 or 5 hours. And I'm here feeling refreshed and vibrant.
So I like how you're a bit vulnerable with certain things. I feel like it's actually even going to speak to the book that we're actually going to be reviewing today.
True.
How to be able to complete certain tasks. But of course, before we move forward, let's take a moment to reflect on 2 significant milestones in history that occurred on this very day. All right, this moment shaped the world in profound ways, and we did love to hear your thoughts on them. Call us live on 07025007749. I'll take that again, 07025007749 or 07014242420. I know that is sounding a bit, let me take it again. All right, 07014242420. And don't forget, you are the main ingredient in this conversation. Join the conversation and let's make history together. All right, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV. Like the video, share it with your circle, and tune in for your Go TV channel 145. All right, we'll take a short break now, and when we return, we'll check out today's top global headlines. Stay with us.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light for my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we'll analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
Welcome back. Let's take a quick tour of what's making headlines around the world today. We are pulling from The Punch, both the local and international editions of The Guardian, and more, covering everything from local highlights to major international stories. So I hear my baby girl is with us via Zoom. Okiki, how are you? Okay,
hello, everyone. I'm fine. I'm doing good.
Oh, my God. I'm happy to hear you.
Good morning, Nigeria.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Oluchi, the adults.
Hey,
Good morning, Kiki.
How are you guys doing this morning?
Very fine, thank you. I just thought to say hi, before I continue. All right, so as an adopted citizen of China, you can beg to differ. It's natural for me to stay closely informed with everything happening in China. However, I recently decided to closely follow the unfolding developments surrounding Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in the United States. All right, from the top left of the Guardian front page, we have in Tehran, we are asking, what is this madness achieving for the people of Iran, Israel, or the United States? To the top, to the right, above the masthead, we have headline briefing on Iran strikes, leaves senators divided as Trump threatens a new rule. So again, I don't know what's going on with Trump. All right, dominating the main headline, we have RFK Jr.'s new vaccine panel vote against preservative in flu shot in shock move. Now, this marks a critical intersection of science, politics, and public health, one with consequences not only for Americans, but for the world watching. Now, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., a United States presidential candidate, lawyer, and longtime vaccine skeptic, has recently overhauled the CDC's vaccine advisory panel, replacing all its members with individuals more aligned with his views on vaccine safety. Now, if you remember the last time we had a conversation around this, Oluchi, you'd remember I said that, I mean, he was, at that time, he was just given the position newly as a health secretary. And, I was looking at it, okay, I mean, from his biography and other things I've read about him, he doesn't really have a stand, with health sectors and also how come, they appointed him to be the health secretary. Right now, he has actually done something very big. Now, there's this preservative that helps, cure flu and all of that, right, in the United States. And why other scientists have said that this particular preservative is okay and is safe, he has come out to say that it is not safe. And thereby he has even, I mean, if you remember the last time we had a conversation, there's this certain people that was with him in the panel. He took them out and brought in new persons. That's about 7 persons now. So he has a small group. Now, when they had this conversation yesterday, right, one person was absent, making it 6, and one person disagreed with the whole initiative. But the rest 5 persons agreed together with RFK on taking out this preservative. Now, back of my head, one of the reasons why I highlighted the story is important because, I mean, first of all, you know how I feel about him, given that he doesn't really, I don't think he has a strong background in the health, sector for him to be able to take out certain policies. And now that he's saying this particular, preservative that has actually been said by scientists to be safe, he is saying it's not safe. I mean, let's look at it very well critically. And given that, the panel that he brought in, he took out the initial people and brought in new people. And these people now are agreeing with him. in the back of my head, I'm like, I mean, we didn't disagree before. Do you get my point? But I just hope that, you know, he knows what he's doing, and eventually this would actually be for the greater good of the United States. I mean, like I said, scientists already said this particular preservative is good, it's safe. But him coming out to say that he's not, I mean, I really don't know what to say, or, you know, make of that. But then
saying something is not. Anybody can differ in that sense. That's why we use the word I beg to differ. But if you give us reasonable
solutions or reasons
to why it is, I mean, of course, we might probably tilt towards your own option. So maybe until when we see, you know, it explained very carefully in that sense why it's like that, then it will make sense for me.
All right, quickly take me on your newspaper.
All right. So the Punch has some interesting news this morning. I'd term it a little bit of good news because different, would I call it, would I say criticism? Not necessarily criticism, but comments on it seems to put it in a very good spot. So it's about the tax bill, the newly reformed tax bill. So I think this is something that, you know, everyone can relate to, small businesses, the big businesses. It seems as though Trump, I say Trump, forgive me, our president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, sat down to think of how to take us away from the problems that we have been having, insecurity, to give us a bit of smile on our face. So let me read it to you and let's see if we are on the same page with how this news sounds. So the major headline reads, Federal Revenue Agency face shakeup as Tinubu signs tax bills. Customs, NUPRC, MDAs may cede tax collection to NRS. New VAT sharing formula begins 1st of January 2026. That's next year. Above that, we see PDP BOT defies INEC and backs Makinde block for NEC meetings. Outage as Nod rejects Osun allocation transfer to APC chairman. And that's basically all the story that, okay, there's one more here. Oyo and Edo State, 10 others to vote in August by elections. I don't know why the papers is not carrying anything about the July 12th local government elections. I'm sure Kiki has something coming up for us with Politics Uncensored, or maybe our Monday show. So I think it's a conversation we need to have because, I mean, coming to work this morning, I was seeing different banners and flyers. Everybody is geared up for the local government elections. But I think it does not have that fuzz and that noise as you would expect it to be. And I think at this time, before I go back to the tax story, it is something we should start paying attention to. We as a country, we just like to focus on the presidential elections. When it is that higher power on, that's when I'll be involved. Or maybe sometimes with state governorship elections. But if we can make the same noise, the same interest with the local government elections, I think we can start seeing change from the grassroots. Because we've seen already, sometimes they disburse this money to these people. These are the ones that we have first reach to. If you're talking about primary health care, education in your local government area, you're not firstly thinking of a Tinubu, you're thinking of your local government chairman. So I think as much as we're very interested with 2027 elections, in Lagos State, the local government elections are coming up. How interested are you towards it? Are you going to even vote? Or you'll be like, it doesn't concern me. It should concern you. You should look out for the individuals that will be there. Why are they there? Why am I sure this one is going to really serve my interest? Because at this point, I think we should really, you know, look at every sector very appropriately. Now, let me take you through the Punch. But I'm not going to read the highlights that the Punch put out, right? I want to read the, I'm looking for the right words for this. The explanation that the Nigerian Affairs Journal, that's like a different editor, had to say about this particular tax bill. So he says that here's what the new development means for Nigerians and Nigeria. He says the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, will now become Nigeria Revenue Service, so change of name. The Nigerian Revenue Service will now collect revenues previously handled by agencies such as the Nigeria Customs Service, NUPRC, NPA, and NIMASA. This one is going to excite you. There will be tax exemption for workers earning 800,000 naira and below annually. Interesting. 25% personal income tax applies only to individuals earning above 50 million naira annually. Small business owners are exempted from paying income tax. Company income tax for medium and large companies will be reduced from 30% to 25% starting in 2026. And there's a whole lot more that are here. But this is giving some sort of good news. And it shows that, you know, we always talk about small and medium scale businesses and how they need all the support from the government. So I think this is a first-hand support in that sense, you know, to take away that tax burden. Because I think even internationally, one thing that is usually a burden for business owners, for even students or anybody generally. I mean, I've heard stories in the United States, some will say tax is the one that is killing them and everything. And maybe we did not hear much of it in Nigeria, maybe we did, but some people even are guilty of evading taxes and everything. So let's not even go to that discussion. But seeing now that there's some sort of consideration to people, imagine somebody earning 800,000 naira, that's even big money. Because there was one survey that said, how many percent of people actually earn up to 200,000 naira in Lagos? So this 800,000, you are talking of the elites. I mean, literally, except if that survey has changed, because there was a survey that made it look like 800K is for the A-list people, because there are more percentage of people earning 200K and below. So looking at this, they are not exempted from paying tax, okay. And what really excites me is the fact that small business owners can now pump in their money into developing their businesses and also it makes sense. But at the end of the day, is this going to just favor us as Nigerians? Because wasn't tax supposed to be what will aid government infrastructure and everything? So if you're exempting and cutting a whole lot of things, is it that some other infrastructures will be cut too? It's almost like we are not paying as much, so why are you expecting as much? So I'm looking at the whole story, but let's not over-analyze it. Let's first swallow the fact that this seems like good news. This seems like something impressive, and let's see how it unravels in the coming days.
I actually love the news, to be honest. It's giving me a United States kind of feeling, because those are the kind of...
My dear, in Nigeria, United States.
No, for real, because, I mean, you always hear things about, you know, tax cut and, you know, how they can actually help the society at large. I mean, think about it. If you reduce the taxes that, you know, are being paid by SMEs, it somehow help them to even invest in other things, and somehow the money circulates. So I think it's a nice idea, but again, you know, implementation has always been a problem in this country.
Let's wait for January.
It's
supposed to start 1st of January 2026.
It's still fast, but I mean, it is what it is. All right, Kiki, I know you have something bubbling for us. Can you bring it on, please?
I have quite a lot to say.
Oh yeah, now let's hear it.
First up is going to be about the election.
Okay.
First up is going to be about the election. The July 12th election is something that it's actually, I would call it a design flaw. I think yesterday I was having a conversation with somebody and they were talking about how the system is working actually, but not for us, right? And I started to talk about how most of these policies, reforms, these people travel, so they know what electoral reforms should do. They know the kind of things that they should implement. But will they do it? They will not. Why? Because they know that if they start to fix certain things, those extra monies, those things that they used to get, they will no longer get it. So of what use is being in the government house if you cannot siphon as much money as possible? That's why they have also said, I have also said it, that we have to make sure that the government house is not so attractive for people to come to or just look at it as a new career path. If we make it about service rather than an avenue to chop money, we'll start to see more genuine people enter into that space, right? The July 12 election has not been spoken about. It's not on the headlines because that is where they do their whole twisting and turning. They make sure that the people who get into those positions are not people that you know. So it takes us as Nigerians, before talking about it being on the headlines, how informed, you know, are we about what is really happening in our surrounding? It's not about the general, them announcing it in that sense, but how we are aware of the people that we're voting in, how are they voting? Because all these chairmen, councillors that will ensure that that governor that you want to change his, you want to vote for, is those people that will ensure that he gets in, whether you like the governor or not. So let's be informed about what's happening and the fact that the July 12 election is coming. And on the whole reforms of Tinubu, of course, his reforms are good. My only issue with all of these passage of bills is the implementation of these bills. Are they going to do it right? Are people going to now take note of the fact that these issues are supposed to be addressed like they're supposed to be addressed? I don't know. I might be speaking plenty English, but I know that the government knows what to do. But would they do it is where the question will always fall. But let me quickly take us through the Guardian newspaper at this point. I think there's a tweet showing here about the president. newspaper has quite a number of stories here. The headline reads, "Less for more, how erratic supply shortchanges Band A households and industries." Okay.
Are you still with us, Kiki? Hello, Kiki, are you still there? I'm guessing network issues. But Ben, I mean, I feel like, Olucha has actually given us full details on what's really happening in the Nigerian newspaper. And, Asai, I've also given you what's going on in the game.
Kiki was about to let us know. I was
Tell me.
really excited about hearing what's happening with Band A people, but as Band F that we are.
Should I not say I'm Band Z or something? It's a lot really happening. But here, let's go on a short break, guys. It's time for us to go into the big, book review, which is on how to finish everything you started. I believe that I'm not the only person that's guilty of this. Even you are. So let's go on this short break. When we come back, we'll discuss it. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population and with little or no meaningful engagement leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.
All right, thank you so much for staying with us. Now let's get into the heart of today's episode. Why do we often struggle to finish what we start? And how do we overcome it? I know this is a question that is, bothering everybody. But Johnny Yager's How to Finish Everything You Start unpacks this with clarity and compassion. Here are some of the major takeaways. Now imagine you go for an O1 bear, right? Is it possible for you to go back home without jollof rice? Exactly. No. And that's the reason why I want to give you this takeaway. Now, I know for sure that one of the questions bothering each and every one of us is why we don't finish everything that will start. Now, this is not about laziness. Sometimes it's fear. Fear of failure, fear of imperfection, even fear of success. Now, self-awareness is key. You can't fix what you don't understand. Now, know your patterns, be honest about what is really stopping you. And I think these are the major things that a lot of people need to ask. Now, I've always told people to always set their goals that matter. Set goals that actually matter. Ask yourself, okay, why am I doing this, right? Why should I be doing this? I know all of these things. Why? Because I read the book. Now, not all goals deserve your energy. Focus on what truly aligns with your purpose, not just what looks good on a vision board. And I think that's something that a lot of people actually do. They just put in certain things. And I think also most of the times it, stems from pressure. I mean, if you see certain things on social media and you see how somebody is probably driving a Lamborghini, back of your head, you don't know if you can afford it, but then you want to ask for the price, you want to write it down and say, you know what, I think I can get this, and you want to start. I mean, no need to rush, no need to, do anything. First of all, understand why exactly do I want to do this then, right? That's the goal. Then you now think about it. Can I really do this thing? How can I do it? Do I need skills? What is my time management? And, how do I even ensure that this project that I want to work on is something that I can actually do? Now, use what works for you. Calendar, reminders, tracking taxes, small wins lead to big wins. Small, wins lead to big progress. Now, this is something that a lot of people don't actually do. They don't celebrate themselves for the smallest of things. This is me telling you today that it's important to do what? To celebrate yourself. And of course, one thing I would always emphasize on is having a completion mindset. Now, finishing is a habit, a belief. Train yourself, your brain to stick out things, even when it gets tough. Do you get what I'm saying? Now, let me tell you 2 reasons why I really love this book. One is because it gives real-life case studies. Now, for everybody that know me, you know that I don't like things happening to me. I learn from other people's experience because just like they say, experience is the best teacher. And one other reason I love this book is because of the actionable tools that it has. Now, each chapter ends with practical steps, checklists, and reflections. It's not just theory, it's transformation. Now, I think it's time for me and my girls to have this conversation properly. And I want to start with Okiki. I hear Okiki is with us now. Okiki, I want to hear what you have to say about this book. Why does it resonate with you? I mean, does it even resonate with you? If yes, why? Is Okiki still with us?
Thank you for having me. I know that the network...
Yeah, I can
Yes,
understand.
I'm here.
Okay.
Network did me dirty before, but I will just move on. It's part of finishing what you start.
I mean,
anyways, when I started the book, it was more like, am I sure I'm going to finish this book? And the first thing that came to my mind is the mindset of when you see a book title. It says how to finish what you start. All of a sudden, it was a struggle starting because I'm like, this book is tasking me to finish it when I start it. So maybe I should just not finish it, right? Maybe I shouldn't just start it in the first place. But over time, when I opened the book and I started to see that, first off, it was not just the fear of maybe not finishing the book. She mentioned the fact that it can be the fear of success.
Yes.
The fact that when you actually finish the book, you can feel like, yes, I achieved something. It could be the fear of procrastination, of imperfection, so many things. And I was, this book decided to come for me directly, and I would just make sure that I finish it. And I think that it was a very clever book to first tap with your mindset from the cover.
Yeah.
How do you finish what you start? And then going into the book, it's as practical. It's asking you questions. It's not just telling you stuff. It's also asking you questions about what you are doing. If you finish a certain number of pages, it's asking you, what did you do about this page? What did you learn? What other things are you going to do moving forward? So I think it was a great book for me reading it. And it resonates so much with my perception about, projects. Sometimes that thing that you want to give your all to, maybe it's not that necessary. Maybe you can just leave it as it is. Prioritize is how I like to look at things. So I was very happy to have read the book, and that's just how it has resonated with me so far.
I love it. Thank you so much, Okiki. I mean, you've just emphasized on one thing I've always been emphasizing on. I bet the right mindset will actually help you do a lot of things good, to be honest. But yes, I'd like to hear what Oluchi has to say. I feel like when it comes to setting books, Oluchi is always very skeptical. I mean, starting from, I remember the time we talked about 48 Laws of Power, and how you're like, this book is not for me. And I think even the last book that we read to you had a theme for it. So tell me what you think about this book.
Wow, that's some labeling there.
Is it true
That's
now?
some labeling. People be thinking that, why is she such a critic? No, I don't think so. It's just that because my brain works in a way of everything can't just be yellow. Let's find the green in it, in that sense. But when I read this book, I felt so guilty.
Wow.
So guilty. Let me start with the first confession. I think I'm in this stage of my life where I'm not trying to prove to anyone. I'm not trying to act any superwoman, right? I know that sometimes you have to handle vulnerability well, else it can be misused. But can I firstly tell you people that I didn't finish this book?
Oh, wow. And you're already
already
helped to finish what you start.
So when Kiki said when she started the book, and he's already saying how to finish what you said, she's like, should I even start it? Let me even give you the teaser, guys. I was the one that said we should read this book. God's Beauty and Kiki had some other recommendations, but I wanted to read this book. And now, the person with the idea didn't finish the book.
Finish the book.
And it's not a good testimony, honestly, but there are a number of reasons, but at least it made me even realize why I needed this book. Because it seemed as though there was a pattern of wanting to start something and not finishing. And maybe this is how I can relate to some other viewers that are watching it. So one major thing I would resonate with was a regret I felt. In senior secondary school too, I wrote a novel, or I was writing a novel. It was titled The Vixen. Now, that title was like an epiphany, you know, when something just comes to a realization. So it was a very unique title for me. And it was metaphorical in the sense I was not just referring to the female fox, but, you know, how a woman can be strong-willed. And in SS2, trust me, that was a title that if I had published, I would have made good progress. And guess what? I had just one validation that was necessary for me to have even continued with the book. And that was my younger brother, Chigozie, right? Shout out to him. And Chigozie is such that he's a reader. He likes to read books. So if he criticizes a book, because his mind has been expanded to really read many books, you really find what he's saying insightful. And when he was reading, he was the one that was always reading every chapter. As I'm writing, be like, Precious, this book is so nice. Continue, continue, continue. I had this higher education that I was writing it. I think I had gotten to chapter 5 or so, and that's how I ended the book. I didn't just end the book. Like, I didn't not continue writing. I disposed it. So when I saw this title, first of all, what resonated with me was, Precious, you actually have a project that could have made waves. Let's even forget about the fame that comes with it. Probably could have impacted someone as well. It could have just been a good start to your writing career. Right. But you stopped it for reasons I honestly cannot place right now. So the way I will resonate with this book is that this really hits home. It hits home in the sense that I have practical examples. I didn't read this book from a vague point that, one motivational self-development book, but how can you relate it to your everyday, living? And I'm still thinking about how I can go back to that book. I can't remember the storyline exactly. I can just remember the title and the inspiration behind it. But the storyline, there were a lot of things. It kept building up, but today I didn't finish that book. So many things that was later opened up in this book made me realize that this is a read. So I haven't finished it yet, but I've started, right? And there's still time. I'm still going to finish it. So that's how I'm going to end it.
I love it. All right, so there are a few things that, Yager actually puts in the book, that are the main reasons why people don't finish what they started. Do you agree with some of the things that, that she put out there? Oluchi, and would you want to, put in your own 2 cents on why you think people don't finish what they start?
Yeah, so there are many things I would agree with. Let me start with that fear of success that Kiki mentioned.
Okay. It
was like a shocker to me because we're used to saying fear of failure to why you will not achieve. So when I saw fear of success, I'm like, I'm going to criticize this. But then when I read it fully, and I think I just want to read out some lines, she said, why would someone fear success? If you grew up feeling as if you were the smart one or the better athletes than your siblings, and that made you feel guilty about your achievement, you might be reluctant to turn in a project or complete a task because you have mixed feelings about shining. You may fear that you will have your co-workers looking bad if you're the one who is praised over their accomplishments. How do I say this without sounding like I'm trying to pat an ego that is not there? But let me give a practical example.
Tell me.
If I go back to some school projects that I've done in the past, and people should just take it as it is, honestly. There are some school projects I've done in the past, and I've had to work with some people to probably, do a group work, a presentation, and sometimes, well, this is not exactly tailored to finishing what you start, but it's tailored to just how you appraise yourself generally. I remember that there are many projects, or not many, some projects in school that I wanted to step back from. Why? Right. Because I felt like if I go to the limelight, if I be the one to be the lead speaker in this particular thing, it could be trying to outshine some other persons that are there. Do you understand? Because maybe because of some experience I've had with, speaking and maybe just the love or the passion I had towards something. So I might want to show some, I might want to exude some excitement that to make you feel like, what are you trying to overdo? So when I looked at it, I now realized that there are some things I deliberately didn't want to do. Because I felt like, let it not look like I'm trying to blow my trumpet too much. So sometimes, even in contributions, you're trying to be quiet. Remember this particular statement they used to say in school? Do you know this statement called I too know?
Yes. ITK.
Do you know that statement traumatized me in school?
Really?
Yes. It made me feel, oh, you want to show that you know. Because I would talk. I would tell you that, oh, yes, I did this too. I did that too.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, calm down. So all of those things were in my mindset, and it made me feel like maybe you should not be at the forefront of this. Maybe you should not put out your idea. Ideas that could have even been needed because it's a group work. But then there's that fear of, they will not think you're trying to outshine. They will not think that, because you used to speak, now you want to be the lead speaker and everything. So many times I would just want to take the backseat of a project that I know I could have done and do even exceedingly well.
Right.
So that one resonated with me. And again, fear of failure. You cannot overstretch that one. Fear
Honestly.
of failure. A number of things. In fact, there's something I even want to do in July, and I've been talking to Kiki about it, right? And the reason why I didn't even want to start it is because I felt like you are not in the best frame of mind. You are not the best person for this. There are other people doing this. Why do you think so? You know that audacity, that why do you think you are the one to start this? And I'm like, wow, this imposter syndrome that we can come on and say, don't feel that way. It is a real thing.
Yes,
so I'm telling you things that are based on many experiences that I've seen so far. Fear of success, fear of failure. And this book is really a must read, and I'm definitely going to complete it. This is a pledge to the people watching me.
I love it. All right, before I, pass it on to Okiki to hear what Okiki has to say, when it comes to the approach between discipline and motivation, I just want to highlight a few things, just to add to the things that Oluchi has stated. Now, there's something called perfectionism, right? So I actually think that to some extent, most of the things I do is because I want it to be perfect. And trust me, at the end of the day, I don't finish it. So it's just like, I was having a conversation with someone and I'm like, this works, but don't you think it can be like this? Okay, let me not even go far. Just yesterday, someone brought a very beautiful idea to me. And she's like, oh, God's beauty, I want us to do this, do this, do this, do this. So you see that part of me that wants to face reality. I'm like, do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have this? She said, yes. I'm like, okay, fine. So how do you think you can be able to do? Do you have the money to even sponsor things like this? And then she said, no. I said, oh, yeah, let's keep it there when you're ready. That's the part, because I want perfection. I want to be sure that, we have everything on point. At the end of the day, you end up not even doing anything. So you said I'm moving guilty as well. Then one other thing I would also want to, put out there is poor planning. Now, there's something, when I was in, secondary school, there's something they used to teach us, the 5 Ps. What's that name now? Something around poor performance, something around prevents poor pressure. Thank you. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. Yes. So I remember then, right? During time, we're having our exams and all. Let's say we're supposed to have our exam next week. From today or from on Monday, right? This week, you see our teachers, put it on the board post, and they'll put it there, the 5 P, so that you'll be seeing it. And for those that have not read, you're on your own. But literally, it's more like guilty as charged kind of thing. You've seen it. So if eventually you now fail, you probably even carry over. Your own is even worse at that point. And then, the man will have to now bring you back to the board and say, do you not see this thing? That means you're not preparing. Do you understand? So I think one thing I literally want to highlight is that proper poor planning. So it's important for us to always, plan ahead, prepare ourselves. And I think that's something a lot of people are guilty of. If you ask now, why have you not completed this particular task? You hear, they wait for this person. They start asking, procrastination comes in. There's really a lot to it. But then I just hope that, as we, dive more into this conversation, a lot of people will learn, and change their ways. And mindset is important. All right? You get it. All right, let's go on a short break, guys. When we come back, of course, I'd like to hear what Kiki has to say between discipline and motivation. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlights. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
All right, thank you so much for staying with us. Kiki, are you there? Because I want to throw this one at you.
Yes, of course, I'm here.
Okay,
I'm here,
so
Your
tell me,
Highness.
what do you think about this approach to discipline and motivation? I mean, for so many persons, they will tell you, oh, I mean, once you're disciplined, you can be able to do anything. Some will say, you need that motivation. Once you just motivate yourself, you will do it. Or do you think we actually even need both discipline and motivation to be able to get our, the things that we start, we're able to finish it?
So before I even answer that, I wanted to quickly speak to both of you's perspective about how the approach came. So I think one thing that the book didn't mention for me is the fear of being judged. So I struggle with the fear of being judged, whether positively or negatively. I just don't like to be talked about, right? I don't want to find you in a corner talking about me. It just gives me the ache. It gives me that uncomfortability when I want to now open up or walk around you. So I've had so many projects that I have, anchored, manned in that sense. And when it comes to going forward to receive all the glory and all of that, so I'm like, nah, not necessarily. You can, go forward and do it. Even when maybe I'm in a group session and I give all my opinions, blah, blah, blah. And those group sessions where they now say, oh, you be the one to go forward and speak for us. I'm like, I beg, please don't send me there. I don't want to be the one talking, even as much as my mouth was just blabbing when it was a closed circle. So I think that one thing the book didn't mention is the fear of being judged is a real thing. You can't fear being judged in that sense. And when you also mention perfectionism, I think that Oluchi has that same trait, but she doesn't like to admit to it.
It's a lie.
She always wants where's the money going to come from? Where's the book going to go? Where's that? But I've always learned over the years, I've learned to start anyway, right? That's why I would take it back to the fact that she has not been able to finish the book. But what she has done that she cannot give herself accolade for is that she started either way. She could have come today and maybe just try to blab over the conversation. But she admitted to the fact that she had not finished, right? But she has started. And that's one of the things that, perfectionism can maybe take you down the line for. So maybe it's not a great project. You don't have it all figured out. But I don't think that there's anyone that can necessarily figure out all the loopholes and everything that you can, encounter going forward. But planning can work. And that's why when God's Beauty mentioned, poor planning can actually hinder certain things. I agree. But also, that you can plan, but then there's some unforeseen circumstances about realities that can sort of put you down. So now I'll relate it back to motivation and discipline. Those two are, they are brother and sister in that sense. Agree. Because one thing you have to do is always connect yourself to your why. And that's where motivation can start from. Why am I doing this in the first place? If I don't do this, am I going to be lashed by my family? Am I going to be lashed by my friends? Is somebody going to, tell me that I started something and I didn't finish? And that's why I always like to share ideas. So if I tell you, God's Beauty or Oluchi, about a particular idea, what I'm really telling you is that you are my accountability partner at this point. Right? So even if I don't finish it, I will still remind you to ask me about the project so that you can't tell me that, hey, that's true. Why have you not even finished it? So it's that way. That's my own form of discipline, telling you, discipline myself to put myself in the hands of people who ask me to be accountable to them, right? Then the motivation will always be, why am I doing this? Is it for the betterment of my society? Is it for personal reasons? Is it for personal growth? Is it for community development? There just has to be something that motivates you, that is personal to you, not the TV people, what the TV people have said. Well, some people can't get their motivations from there, but I'm talking personally about myself. I get my own motivation from asking myself, why am I doing it? And if I can pick 5 positives from what I'm doing, I'm good to go. And that's how I discipline and motivate myself.
I love it. I feel like Oluchi has something to add.
Well, yes, I do have something to add, and I think it's related to there was something you mentioned about perfectionism.
Yeah.
Pardon me. And then I want to read something I found on the book, since we're reviewing it, right? It says something here that be realistic about whatever it is that is not working in whatever you are putting off and make those changes. It says if you're afraid that whatever you are delaying might lead to failure, then it might be a good fear because it could be highlighting that you need to make changes, do more work, or take another approach. And that hits me home because I think there are a lot of motivational speakers and people that come out to say, do it regardless, do it scared. Yes, we should do it scared. But sometimes, you know that fear is not always a bad indicator, a bad signal. Sometimes we feel like fear is crippling. Fear is out to make me not do it.
Yes.
Sometimes fear is to make you look carefully
and see what you're actually not doing.
Exactly. So it made me realize that this is something to apply to your life. That means let it get to the point that if I'm not doing this thing, it's not because I don't have all the resources, I'm not competent enough to do it. It's maybe another problem that needs to be dealt with. Do you understand? So it made me look at the fact that if we can chase competence and being really, really good at your job, it aids you doing something. I read somewhere that said that sometimes the reason why some people don't even want to start some project, or even in communication, for example, the reason why some people are scared to talk, they see public speaking as one Herculean task, is because they're not even proficient in an area as much. I believe that there's something that competence does. There's something that knowing something can do to your esteem. It will even push you to want to do it. I mean, somebody yesterday mentioned, he said, imagine if they wake you up now to talk about something that you love so much. I don't think you hesitate starting it. Like, you want to blab and blab all through. So, I mean, that stage of my life where, yes, I know that there's some other emotional, psychological stuff that could be hindering. But in the point of waiting, because there will always be that waiting season, I mean, hip-hop the skills, hip-hop the ability, be such that you are a giant in that space that you want to dominate. So that when you even step out, it won't be, that imposter syndrome won't really have a place to dwell, in the sense that you can clearly tell yourself without trying to inflate your ego that I actually sabi this thing. I know they even like, I actually really sabi this thing because I've spent time, I've spent effort, I've spent resources, I've taken criticism and feedbacks as well, and I'm set to go. So I'm in that point where sometimes if you're scared of failing, maybe you should actually calm down and check again. Then when you have checked and see that, okay, it's not a competence thing, then you can now take the other, you know, the advice and solutions to do it regardless. So I think it's something, there's a particular part of my life I'm going to actually apply that to. But let me not say it on national TV because, I mean, it's a bit more personal to me. But sometimes the fear of failure is not because, I mean, you are not, I mean, it's just because you need to really equip yourself with knowledge.
I love it. I'd like to hear you guys. Which of her tips do you see yourself still using Yager from now? I would want to give emphasis to this acronym that she gave us, which is FINISH. Now, the F stands for focus on one priority task. I stands for ignore interruptions or distractions. That should be 81. Now, the N stands for now is time, not later or tomorrow. I stands with initiate and innovate, so that you keep going. Then S stands for stay the course, however tough it gets. H is hail finishing by celebrating your accomplishment. Now, it was important to emphasize on this because I feel like this acronym is just the sum up of everything that is in the book, really. One is to focus on the task that you have at hand. Okay, why am I even doing this? After, of course, you've settled why you're doing this, your motivating factor and all, you should now focus on it. That's one. Now, ignore interruptions. I feel like one of the reasons why one thing that we've actually not highlighted here is the fact that a lot of people are not able to finish their stuff because they're on social media 24/7.
Yeah,
distraction.
Exactly. I mean, I know of someone that wanted to work on something. She bought data. Then somehow she got glued on Instagram. The data got exhausted. It was then she remembered that she had something to do with the data. Then she bought another data. Then she bought another data. You know, so a lot of things like that happen. Now, I love the end, which is now is the time, not later or tomorrow. Speaking on procrastination now, that it's not, I mean, since you already know why you're doing this, just focus on it. Do it. Do it now. Don't say, oh, let me do it in the next minute, in the next second. Do it now. Now, the I is initiate and innovate, so you can keep going, yes. I mean, this is where you now bring in the skill, bring in any other thing that, that would help you be efficient in delivering the, the tasks that you have at hand. Then the S is stay the course, however tough it gets. Of course, it will be difficult. There are times where you'll be angry. I think that's one thing that we also did not emphasize. One of the reasons why a lot of people are not even able to complete whatever they must have started is probably because of anger. Something very close to that happened to me yesterday. So I was trying to work on something, trying to send a document from myself down to the producer. Network was giving me issues. I really don't understand what's going on. For complete 1 hour, sending one document. Oh my. I'm not joking. Like, I was so pissed. Then the desktop itself was now hanging. It was slow. I'm like, what's going on? Are you after my life? You get it?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a lot of things that people are dealing with. In short, I was even telling someone that, imagine it's someone that has anger issues. The person had probably broken this desktop. No jokes. Because for complete 1 hour, I was sitting in the spot, nothing was going on. It was just so crazy. So I feel like that part of the things that, I just want to, highlight. All right, before we, go, because, I mean, we don't have time anymore.
This H that says, hail finishing by celebrating your accomplishments. I want to maybe take that up a little. I saw something that said the reason you don't celebrate your accomplishments is because you raise the bar higher every time you go.
Agree.
So, and there's this what's it called? This quote upstairs that says, I forgot how he puts it, but celebrate your win, but raise the bar higher.
Yes.
And me, I don't even used to celebrate anyway because I'm like, what did you really win? Have you not seen what other people have done? And I know it's a mindset that needs to be changed, but it is said, yes, celebrate every accomplishment, but keep raising the bar higher.
I agree.
Very interesting read, I must say.
Yes. I'm so sorry, Kiki. We can't actually take what you have to say, but I know for sure that all the things you have to say, we probably must have said it here. All right, today's book review was intentional and timely. We live in a world where endless distraction, so the ability to finish what we have started, is more important than ever. It's not just about productivity, it's about purpose. That's you finding your goal. All right, a big thank you to my co-anchors, Kiki and Oluchi. Hey, thank you so much, guys, for doing this with me. And yes, to my beautiful and handsome viewers, thank you so much for doing this with me. If you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel now at Official Upgrade TV. Hit that button, drop a comment, like and follow us across all social media platforms. Invite your friends and family. Let's grow this incredible community together. All right, until next time, stay intentional, stay inspired, and remember, you have what it takes to finish strong. Have an amazing day, and we will see you again on Monday. Bye.